people are in disagreements about, they're like, is that sexual abuse or is that rape or is that, and hopefully I can encourage people to, you know, seek out a different perspective than one of their own and kind of understand it from the other side of the table. Say, for example, the Aziz Ansari story. And again, in these situations, I don't think there's a technical right or wrong. And I think the girl was in the right place where she was trying to address a culture. And I think Aziz was right in the aspect of where he's like, hey, like, I didn't physically, you know, attack or force you. And so in her case, this is kind of like a situation that I like to paint for men a lot, to kind of like get them to understand and be like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what you're saying. So consent. So a lot of people, when they're, and I'm not talking about blackout drunk, whatever, like another day, another time. But obviously, if you're a man, just like women have to be preventive, like, hey, we can't get blackout drunk. Like, you can, but be around with your girlfriends. Like, you should never get raped because you are. It's scary that it's a possibility. But with like men, like, you need to be discerning and you need to, you know, not get involved physically with women who seem like they are not like mentally, you know, capable, or I mean capable, like they're inebriated, or, you know, they've just been drinking a lot. And even if they don't seem like, cause like I'm the type of person, like I could be drunk, but I could also have like a full blown conversation about fucking like, you know, I was gonna say reptilians, which doesn't help my case whatsoever. It's a conspiracy theory. Anyway, but people are like, please don't have those conversations when you're drunk. But I think that men have to be discerning when they're having one night stands. It sucks, but it's like, yeah, women have to be preventative and men have to be discerning, because you get in a situation where it turns out that girl was blackout fucking drunk and she's just one of those types that can fucking operate and still be the life of the party. Things get really in that gray area, and it's just like, it becomes hard for either party, you know, the public to be like, well, you know what I mean? So, but in cases of where it's not alcohol involvement, like I said, like the Aziz Ansari case, there is a culture around being with a man out of pressure. And what I mean is, so a lot of the times, like, you know, you could be on a date with somebody and they could be like really cool and awesome. And, you know, anyone who knows me, I've never had a one night stand, and I'm not being like, oh, like if you did, I'm just very, obviously I have fucking intimacy issues. So, I just can't have one night stands. So like, I've totally been a person where it's like, yes, I've gone up to a guy's apartment. I've gone to a guy's hotel room. It's like, you know, when you genuinely have a connection or chemistry with someone and you don't want the night to end. Have you never been on a good fucking date? Have you never had a good time? Of course you go have wine and keep talking. And so when people are like, well, what do you think that means? It means whatever the fuck you want it to mean, because I have slept in so many dudes' beds and never fucking touched them. And I'm sure some of them hate me, but I'm like, it is however you want it to be. So it's like, if people are like, oh, there's no such thing as going up to a guy's apartment and like not thinking it's going to get physical. Yeah, there is, because I've done it my whole entire fucking life. I've had a lot of men tell me that they're scared to make a move on me, and I'm like, good, keep it that way. But so a woman has every right to go up to a man's apartment and to keep the night going, to keep getting to know each other. It doesn't insinuate like, hey, physical shit, it's going to go down. That's not what that means. So for people saying that part, no. Okay. But number two, so for the pressure aspect is like, again, you could be one-on-one with a guy and all of a sudden he just starts to, you guys are like making out and it's like a good time, but you're like, I'm the type of girl, like I, again, can't fuck for a while, you know. You're gonna have to work for it. No, it's not work. It's just because I'm weird. But anyway, when they're like, you know, they start making out with you and you're like, no, I'm good. And they're like, come on. And you're like, no, I'm good. And then it's like, everything's fine. But there's like uncomfortable, that's already starts to become uncomfortable, where when you have to tell a guy like, no, and then he keeps going after it. And then you're like, no. In those moments, like when you're a woman, I can't speak for men, but when you're a woman, you automatically, that fight or flight like starts to fester up, especially if you've been someone who's definitely experienced sexual abuse, because you're like, oh shit, here we go again. Like, is this guy, because that's how it starts. Like, no one just like walks into a room and is like, take off your clothes, you're getting raped. Like, obviously there are violent ones where people are, like I said, running in the park and it's just out of nowhere. But there are tons of rapes where it's like, they still seduce you. They're like, let's get her drunk. Let's get her fucking, like, you know, not paying attention. Let's take her phone. Let's lock the door. It's like, there's a system to it. And then you're like, oh shit. You're like, where's the door? Where's my phone? Where's the knife? It's like, you just don't know. You're like, is it about to go down?